Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Man, We're Too Old for This, here on the Nerd Eternal Network. I'm your host, the experience that some call Jason, and with me today, as usual, is...
CDL-113, the droid you're looking for.
And the Todd Father.
And today we're going to talk about replacements, specifically in comics. When they'll swap out an old favorite with some new character. If you listen to us much, I'm sure you've heard us complain about Foster Thor a little while back. But today we're going to try to concentrate on times they've done that we enjoyed it.
Hatred of knockoffs is well known.
Yes. But every now and then they tell a good story doing it, even if you enjoy it, you go into it knowing it's going to be temporary. But so we've all picked out, either our favorite or at least one we really like. I'll kick it off with, let's see, this was back from 90, 91, 92, something like that. In Thor, they brought in a character named Eric Masterson. He started off as just a supporting character. Right through there, you had Thor running around without being able to change back and forth. So I think S.H.I.E.L.D. helped him come up with a secret identity or something. But it was just, him walking around as Thor in regular clothes. After a while, something happened. He wound up merged with Eric Masterson. So then, he'd be Eric Masterson. Bad crap would go down. He'd basically swap places with Thor.
Well, the trick is Thor had murdered Loki.
Well, that's the trick. Thor got himself banished.
Yeah.
And then you just had Eric Masterson with the powers.
Yeah.
And, they didn't change. He wasn't one where they drastically changed his suit. The boots were different, and he had a little mask portion on his helmet. But he was enjoyable because they did him as kind of a rookie hero. So you'd have him screw up, or there was one fight with the Absorber Man where he just kind of let him go. I think just to minimize the damage, but and at first he was trying to keep it a secret that that it wasn't the real Thor because he didn't want nobody to freak out. And I think he wound up confessing to Cap at some point. So, he's running with all that power, but not the experience. And really, it was just really well done, except for the fact that no matter how long he was doing it, he never really seemed to get over the rookie hero part. Even when Thor came back and he got a separate weapon and was his own character, he still didn't seem to develop. It was almost like that hero guy from the show Heroes. It's like he ought to be better than he is, but he never quite got over that. But he was also fun because he would have moments where he'd snap. There was a really good fight with Gladiator during the Operation Galactic Storm. You had a scene with the Juggernaut that was fun. Though by that point he was already running around as Thunderstrike. They had a few years earlier killed off the Executioner, and you thought had destroyed the Blood Axe. Well, you had the Blood Axe pop back up during that storyline.
As a villain.
Yes.
Known as Blood Axe.
Yes, it was not a very original naming conventions, but by the same token, when that storyline was over and Thor was back, Odin made Eric Masterson a mace called Thunderstrike. So he immediately went out and became a superhero, calling himself Thunderstrike. So, I guess that was just how the writer was. One thing I always find interesting is, everybody, especially after the movies, everybody's familiar with the Infinity Gauntlet miniseries. Big crossover event. Well, it was the Eric Masterson Thor that went through that.
Yep.
And he has another good kind of snap and go off moment. Thanos makes the hammer disappear. Well, when that happens, he knows he's got 30 seconds and he's dead. So you have him lay into Thanos pretty good just with Thor's raw strength. Now, it ends badly for him because it ends badly for everybody, but he would have these little moments. My favorite individual episode, or issue rather, is probably one with Hercules. Because Hercules is wanting to train him. Thor is my buddy. I want you, you have impressed me. I want you to live up to my friend's reputation. And he tries to trick, basically he wants to pit Thor against Quasar, who's another one of my favorite characters, so And he comes up with this lame mind control story that he tells both of them. Neither one of them is quite buying it. But the Enchantress shows up and, does her little mind control kiss thing on Quasar, whose powers usually protect him from mind control, but he's weak to magic. And, you have a good little brawl through there. They sort it out. The two of them leave Hercules tied to the torch of the Statue of Liberty.
Nice.
Which, they probably only managed because he did feel a little bad about, how things had kind of gone. And later on when he's running around as Thunderstrike, you had a big storyline go over in Quasar where he wound up in the new universe. He got the Star Brand. He came back. He was looking for the quantum bands. And Eric is who he goes to for help. Now, he goes there thinking, okay, he's got Thor's power. He can teleport me out where I need to go. And yeah, the Thunderstrike mace couldn't do that. It was kind of the cheap knockoff. Not like Raider Ray Bill where you got the full power package.
Mace, the dollar store. Best we got.
Yep. But,
was it that he didn't have it, or that he did? Because the few issues of Thunderstrike that I ever read, it was always like he didn't quite know how to use it. Because I know, like, when he would try and fly with it, you had plenty of scenes where he was kind of landed. It's like he threw it, go for a while, he'd land. He threw it, go for a while, and land. So it was almost like Hulk's leaps just with the hammer. Where Thor, when he
they went back to the ideal of that he was throwing the hammer or throwing the mace and just hanging on to it.
Yeah.
The trick with that was he kept learning different things it could do because Odin hadn't told him what it could do, and it didn't do the same things the hammer did. It fired energy, but it wasn't really doing lightning per se.
Okay.
It didn't have any of the weather control. It didn't have the teleportation. It would sustain him in space and stuff. He didn't have to worry about environmental kind of factors. But
when they did the Next books, and his son ends up with the mace.
Mm-hmm.
His son, from hearing stories about his dad, what his dad could do with the mace, picked those things up immediately. But he ends up learning to do some of the stuff that Dad never did.
Well, he didn't have the mace, at least at first. He
Yeah.
would use the mace to transform back and forth, but in his transformed state, he didn't possess the mace, he just had powers.
Yeah.
Because unlike the hammer, the mace was tied specifically to Masterson, so when he died, it was supposed to be depowered.
Yeah.
Spoiler, he died at the end of the Thunderstrike book.
Yeah.
Which all tied directly into the Blood Axe stuff, because that storyline of him being stalked by that guy that you thought at the time turns out to be one of his supporting cast members. But that bled through into the Thunderstrike book. He takes Blood Axe out and is packing the axe for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually the scene I like with the Juggernaut, because he decides, you know what, this mace just ain't cutting it.
Yep, and chops off Juggernaut's helmet with it. It's like, your head's next.
Juggernaut was not particularly worried about it, but his thing was he wasn't really there to pick a fight. That was during the time period when Black Tom was infected with that plant stuff, but he hadn't gone full plant man. He was just kind of infected with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Marco was basically making a supply run for like some medicines and stuff. So he was like, "Screw it, I'll just pay for the damages. For what's happened to the city. Just let me get my crap and go." Because crime pays very well apparently.
Yeah.
And when you're strong enough and unstoppable enough, just walk into a damn bank, just take what the fuck you want.
Mm.
Yep.
But
the loans you could make with that ruby is collateral loan.
So anyway, that's probably my That's probably my all-time favorite, replacement character. Into the point that I even followed him into his own book. But who? Oh yeah, we're doing Danny next. So Danny, who is your choice?
My choice would be Connor Hawk. He Green Arrow's son, and when they have him pop up, maybe 4 or 5 issues before they had Green Arrow die, and you find out that Connor's was raised in a Buddhist monk temple kind of thing, but he was a warrior. He was superb martial artist. He knew how to use all kinds of different martial arts, and he knew that Oliver was his dad. He just he was busy doing monk things. Well, when Oliver dies, he leaves the monastery and takes up the mantle of Arrow. And the take they had of him, I thought was cool because, Ollie, if he had to get down and brawl with somebody, he would. But it wasn't until the Connor Hawk thing that you had somebody that could, if he didn't have the bow strung, he could use it as a bow staff. If he had it strung, he still used it kind of like a bow staff. And it was one of the things in Arrow, the TV show, when they did, I was like, oh, they stealing that from Connor Hawk run. Mm-hmm. And when he started out, he pretty much just used bladed arrows or blunt arrows. He didn't have the gimmick arrows.
Yeah.
And if he didn't have to fire an arrow to solve the problem, he would, if he could just knock somebody out, hand to hand, he'd go toe to toe with him.
Best I can recall, he was really only using the bow because that was his father's thing, and he was replacing his father. He'd been trained on it. It was one of the weapons he'd been trained with. But he was a martial artist kind of above being an archer. Yeah, and being raised in a monastery, he knew how to use his words to solve a fight. If he could talk somebody down from fighting, he would. And, if you're used to watching Oliver do his thing, he'd just jump into a fight, start firing arrows. He was, shoot first, shoot second, ask questions last, kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And Connor was the opposite. He would ask, why are you doing this? Can we not solve this? Oh, you're going to use violence against me. Well, I'm going to defend myself. He was kind of like a polar opposite. And you follow him through, several different story arcs where, he ends up, helping the Justice League, and, Superman and Batman are kind of like, oh, cool, no problem. And you've got some of the other, junior Justice Leaguers that were like, wait a minute, why are you accepting him so easy? And you gave us a hard time. You're like, Wally was like, you gave me a hard time, and you gave so-and-so a hard time. And Batman just looks at him and goes, because he's competent. Batman knew the monastery that he was from, because he had went there to train in some special form of martial arts. And he's like, he doesn't need the bow and arrow to do this job. I'm the only one he couldn't take hand-to-hand, strength, but he could take the rest of you out if he just felt like it. Yeah, and they're like, I never did collect the Connor run of Green Arrow because it was Green Arrow, and that basically makes him like Aquaman to me. But I did like it. Like, you had the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern running around, who's probably my second favorite replacement character.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised you didn't pick him.
Well, that was one of the things. You always had the Hal Jordan, Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, mm-hmm. Green Lantern buddy.
They even brought the old logo back for one storyline.
Yeah, and you had Kyle running around and him running around, and they ended up being real buddies. And it was just, Kyle was one of the ones that, was like, when Wally brings it up, why, we've been here for a while. Why don't you give us the respect that you're giving him? Competent. And Kyle Rayner's like, what do you mean? I've got this ring. And then the next thing you see, Batman's already, had the ring off of his hand. It's like, see, he could do that. And it's like, okay, my bad. But, when you have them as a duo, they have that same comedy feel that Oliver Hal did. But one of my favorite things was when they started prepping to bring Oliver Queen back from the dead. You had Connor go on like a soul journey to heaven to find him, and you got Oliver standing there in the middle of this field, and he's pulling the bow, and you can't see a target anywhere, and he's letting the arrow go, reaching down, getting another one, just firing, and he's like, "What are you shooting at? That target way over there." And so he says, "Come on, let's take a walk," and he walks because he had been standing next to a target, and there were several targets here and there. They walked for like a mile, and there's this target's got all these arrows stuck in it. He's like, "How are you doing that practice?" And he goes, "Try it." And his arrow only doesn't make it anywhere near that. He's like, "If you stay here and practice long enough, you can hit it every time too." And it's one of those things. "Well, Dad, we need you, but I'm happy and content here." "No, you don't understand. Such and such." "What?" And there's that classic Ollie temper, like, "Wait, no, I got to go back now." But it was just one of those moments, that father-son moment, that Zen moment that Ollie had finally found that peacefulness that he had always wanted but never could do in his real life. And because his son, when he would shoot, he could shoot further than you had ever seen Ollie do, this quiet, calm, Zen attitude. Well, when Oliver does come back, he's not quite as Zen, but he still can shoot further than he should be able to. And it frustrates Connor. Like, sit and meditate, in my mind before I fire an arrow. I'm not getting anywhere near as far as you are, and you're angry. How is this? So it was just one of those moments that,
I'm only happy when I'm mad.
Yeah.
So
When he was in heaven, he was calm and happy and could do all these crazy stuff.
Now, you had I can't remember if it was a Batman storyline or it was a Batman Green Arrow crossover thing, where you had this big kind of it was all your big top tier martial artists.
Yeah.
Where Connor wound up coming in second to Lady Shiva.
Yeah. Yeah, you had the different, was it the monkeys? You'd had different classifications, Jade Monkey, the Emerald Monkey, such and such. So whatever it was, you had different things. And the Paper Monkey, I think, was one of the more fragile the monkey, the more dangerous they were. And it was one of those kind of things where you sit there and go, okay, this dude is no joke. Batman knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, because he held his own against Lady Shiva, but only by going like purely defensive.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I would never have beat her. She'd have wore me down eventually.
Yeah. But even Shiva gave him credit. It's like, okay, your kung fu is strong, kind of moment. And it was him, he sparred with Batman and realized, okay, he can beat me, no problem. But I can, like with Shiva, I can defend myself long enough to either try and get away or not die.
I want to say the one thing that saved his life there was Robin basically Tim Drake Robin basically walked up and went, no, let him live, you owe me one.
Yeah.
Because you'd had a storyline where he had basically beaten her to death, or damn near to death, and had to bring her back while he was juiced up on something.
Yeah. And he had fought her one other time, and it was when he first got his bow staff. He carved a little notch in the end of it in a hole, and he got ready to fight her. And when he spun the staff, it made like a whistling sound, like a chirp. And she's like, "What the?" And he nails her and knocks her out. And it was like, okay, little Robin, you won that fight. I'll give you credit. I'm not even mad about it.
Well, the whistle thing he put in when he was fighting, was it Blind Serpent?
Yeah, it was King Snake.
King Snake, okay.
It was King Snake. Because that whole thing Shiva is the one that trained the Tim Drake Robin how to fight. Because that was that Robin miniseries right after he was introduced as a new Robin. I've actually got that one.
Yeah.
And she was hard on him, the bow staff, because she was wanting him to learn a weapon that could kill you.
Yeah.
And he picked a stick, and she was like, you basically still all booed up basically with Batman and your whole non-killing thing.
Yeah, but when he knocks her out with that singing stick, she's like, okay, this works for you. And that's why she owed him one.
Well, no, the old thing, he was training with somebody else. got juiced up on something that made him more than human. Because she
Yeah,
was your
yeah.
top tier martial artist, but at heart, she's still human. Freaky
Yeah.
martial art level human, but still human. So, he had martial arts training, and then he was juiced up on something that I can't remember if it was derived from Miraclo or what it was. But because I was collecting some of the Tim Drake Robin through there, so I had that story.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Mirakuru or whatever it is
Yeah.
that they talked about in the Green Arrow books. Yeah.
Well, it comes from Our Man, the original.
Because that was the whole thing with that Robin miniseries is she agreed to train him, but she was gonna want something. What she wanted him to do was be a killer.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it. He never did beat her. She never did even really respect him because he didn't really kill. But the thing that left them on amicable terms when he carved that little whistling thing in his thing, yeah, that's how he beat King Snake because King Snake was blind. Because he killed the black guy that was revenge on him, that was part of their little team. And when he fights Tim basically hangs that staff up and has it spinning. So he goes to the thing and it ends up where King Snake is like hanging by his fingertips off a ledge. And Shiva pops up then and is like, sweet, get rid of him. And I'm the most dangerous, because her whole thing was being the most dangerous fighter in the world. And King Snake was currently the number one. And her thing was, if I train you to kill him, then you are essentially my weapon, so I kill him. And he wouldn't do it. He walks off. And she's kind of standing over him, and then you hear King Snake in the background scream.
Yeah.
Because the next time you see King Snake has had to have his spine reconstructed because she dropped his ass off that thing.
Yeah.
She's a stone cold killer.
Yeah. Because you have King Snake fighting Batman in that book, who ends up beating him because he had weighted the scallops in his cape. Yeah, popped him in the head with him. He starts rustling his cape, so when he comes toward the sound, he pops him in the head with him.
Yeah.
I won't say that hell in pre-52, you find out King Snake is actually Bane's daddy. Some shit.
Yeah.
I know they were playing around with it anyway.
Well, it was either going to be
Thomas Wayne
or
or
King
him.
Snake.
Yeah.
But yeah, Connor was my favorite replacement character for an existing character. So that's why I was.
Yeah, I remember him in the 90s. I liked him, all right. I thought it was interesting that he started off without any of the gimmicks. But...
Yeah. It wasn't until well into the thing, there was Justice League headquarters that, you had folks busting in, gonna, do everything. And he couldn't get to his bow and quiver. So he knocked open a glass case that had his dad's bow and all the gimmick arrows. And when the first arrow he pulls is the boxing glove arrow. He's like, "Oh, Dad, but he fires it anyway. Time gimmick, and then afterwards they're like, "You want to keep that?" He goes, "Nah, put it back in the case." He went back to his standard, bladed and blunted arrows.
Got to go with what you know.
Yeah.
All right, Todd, what have we got?
My guy is Mr. Terrific because, I hate knockoffs. But he's one of them that I didn't know he was a knockoff when I first saw him. So I was like, oh, he's cool. So, yeah, I'll go with Mr. Terrific. Created in 1997 by John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake. His first appearance is actually in The Spectre, which, looking him up, I was kind of shocked about. He's the third smartest person in the DC universe. I don't know when the hell they ever did that test, but apparently they did do the test. And he's the third smartest.
Well, it's comics, that sort of thing happens.
He's behind Luthor and Batman.
Okay.
He's been the chairman of the JSA now, and I kind of liked him because his origin was so damn dark. It's rare that you have like a hero that their shit kind of starts out with them being suicidal. Okay.
Yeah, tragic
He lost-
usually, but not suicidal.
Yeah, he lost his wife and unborn kid in a car accident, and yeah, he's like made him an atheist and all kinds of shit. So Yeah, he's real. Just kind of his whole God thing ain't rocking with it. He lost. I was reading up on him. He lost his brother at an early age, so he was already kind of lean. And then his wife and unborn kid. Yeah, he's like, yeah, hell with all that religion crap. It's all about the mental. And apparently, he's one of those typical DC humans where they met up to the utmost because he has a natural aptitude. He's got 14 PhDs and 8 master's degrees. So he has a natural aptitude, learning skills that take normal people like a lifetime. Yes, he has 14 PhDs, 2 in engineering and physics, including doctorates and master's degrees in law, psychology, history, science, and mathematics.
And on top of that, he's an expert martial artist.
Well, he's a gold-winning Olympic decathlete. Truthfully, reading his bio here, it felt like some white person was guilty about how shitty black characters tend to be, so they lumped all the shit that should have been like on multiple characters into one dude. This motherfucker's perfect.
What he sounds like is an old school pulp character.
Yeah,
he sounds like Dr. Savage or some of them.
Yeah, he does sound kind of Tom Strong.
Well, considering, the original Mr. Terrific was kind of that. He was kind of like your golden boy, fair play, but, he would beat a Nazi.
Yeah, the crossover I saw was the two of them beating the living shit out of Clan. I think that's when I became a fan of the character. They had some time story in JSA. It was like, he dumped him in the middle of a cross burning. Well, it's going to be special. Yeah, he beat the shit out of him. I'm like, this is the dude I can get behind.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to his origin, you never did finish. You never did finish. You mentioned him being suicidal and popping up in the Spectre, but you never did say how those things intersected.
Oh, he's met by the Spectre, who told him about Terry Sloan, the original Mr. Terrific, and he was inspired by Sloan's life story. So that's what caused him to basically go, I'll be Mr. Terrific.
Well, the Spectre, because I want to say they conversed on a bridge that he was thinking about jumping off of.
My thing is, well, like I said, I was late to the character. The character was already well in JSA before I ever ran into him, so it's not one I can say that I saw him from the beginning.
But
though reading that, it makes me wonder, how the hell still not believe in God and you've talked to the Spectre?
Yeah.
that's kind of Tony Stark, and I don't believe in God. How long the hell you been on a team with Thor and Hercules and shit? Yeah, there's God. You can sit there and go, that's just another dimension. Technically, heaven may be another dimension. Gods.
Well, the trick was, and it may have even been the bridge his wife died on, I forget, but the Spectre talks to him, and the reason he tells him about Terry Sloan is Terry Sloan was suicidal at one point.
Was he?
Yeah. He, as a normal person, he was always the best at anything he put his mind to. Then he joined up a team with a bunch of super people. And he never felt like he was more than mediocre on that team, and it really kind of screwed with him.
He had a Pym.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, that was always Hank Pym's thing. He was all right until he got on the team with the Avengers, Thor, and all that kind of shit. Then I was like,
Now he worked his way through it and got over it, but and he had a habit of popping up in the 90s because Terrific met him a couple of times through time travel.
Yeah.
Every year in the Starman book, you'd have one episode or one issue where Jack talked to his dead brother. And one of those times, it was basically like a big banquet dinner they went to with like all the dead JSA members, and they were talking to people.
Yeah. If you ever read any of the JSA books, banquet dinners, they would, have them with, colleagues that, were long dead, or they had crossed a dimension and have, this is before everything merged into one DC universe.
Oh, yeah, back in the day. Well, way back in the day, you had the JSA, JLA yearly Thanksgiving dinner.
But they would also have, like dinners with other folks on certain holidays, things like, okay, that's pretty cool.
I know for a while there I was reading Mr. Terrific's book, The Terrifics, which was basically DC going, well, Marvel ain't going to use the Fantastic Four. We're going to create a Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was pretty good because the last issue that I read of it, and it's kept going, I just haven't, with the virus stuff, I haven't kept up with it. At least I think it's still ongoing.
I think I heard they were bringing it to an end, but I don't know if they have yet or not.
I know at the end of Doomsday Clock, because, the JSA was no longer part of, like, the mainstream universe.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of Doomsday Clock, that was the big thing, was they brought back the JSA, and I know Terrific was part of the team when you see him.
Well, Terrific was still running around in New 52 and stuff, though.
Yeah, I know, but when you see the JSA at the end of the clock, the thing is, the Terrifics, yeah, he was running around. He was running around with his own team with that, and the last issue that I'd read was he was actually happy because one of the alternate Earths they jumped to in their adventures, his wife was alive, but he was dead. So you had a Mrs. Terrific. And when he ran into her, yeah, they booed up. She came back with him. Because, both of them's whole thing was, the love of my life is gone. Oh, well, in this world, I died and you became a superhero. In this one, you died, I became a... Why not be superheroes together? So... Because that was the thing, is she didn't have spheres. She had another shape. Can't remember if they were triangles or something. She had like the little T thing, but they were different. They were different shape.
I think it was triangles, because she called them spheres, didn't she?
I forget what in the hell she called them damn things. But yeah, I know they weren't spheres, because spheres.
Okay.
But yeah, his a little circle, hers were another shape. But I know the last episode I read, it was like him, her, Metamorpho, the metamorphic dog they had, the Phantom Girl, Plastic Man, and Plastic Man's son were like all jumping out the window.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny how, hey, this is a fantastic.
Yeah,
I read the first about it.
Yeah, it was very.
And when I'm looking at the cover, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, this is fucking Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I've read articles about it before, and they were, and DC was basically going, well, yeah, Marvel.
But I like their choice for their version of the Thing. And Plastic Man, yeah. He just I like how when he looks at the rest of them, he sees them cartoon character version of what they would be. Because that's how he sees things. It's like through a cartoon window.
But yeah, that would be my pick, because that was a knockoff that I didn't know was a knockoff. I guess it's a little less so considering it's DC and their whole thing a legacy hero.
Well, also the original had been out of comics for decades at that point, so
yeah.
And I looked it up. Yeah, apparently the Terrifics are ending with issue 30 in September.
Okay.
The last 3 issues are going to be digital only. At least that's as of this article in May.
Okay.
Yeah, if you saw Mr. Terrific, the original, it was in the old All-Star Squadron or in flashbacks with some other character.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they kept popping him up just enough to keep his copyright.
Yeah. Well, they did that. They did that with a lot of this Justice Society. You'd have before they did the big revamp and it really got popular again. You'd have these little mini-series pop up every now and then.
Yeah. Other than that, my favorite might have been, if I'd stayed at the JSA, would have been JJ Thunder. God, I loved him.
Just say you.
What? Say you love Satan? No.
Somewhere I've got the issue where he winds up with the Thunderbolt, because it happened in a Flash issue.
Yeah, because he got an autograph and took the pen, did he?
Yep. And the original JJ was keeping who was senile at the time, was keeping the Thunderbolt stored in the pen. And he was waving it at Jay Garrick, the original Flash, telling him to walk his dog, and Jay wound up taking the pen from him. then wound up letting JJ get it.
I like JJ just because he cursed so much.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he fucking cursed a lot.
On the
JJ was a snitch. Stargirl and
Yeah.
Captain Marvel are dating, and he's the one that lets the society know about it.
Yeah, it's because it's creepy. So he was out fighting pedos.
on the Stargirl.
Billy
TV
was just a boy.
Yeah, when he wasn't Captain Marvel, when he was Captain Marvel, he was a man.
It's just a very awkward conversation when Jay pulls him to the side. How old are you, Captain? Like 30? What are your intentions here?
Well, I plan to see if she'll let me see her bare naked. Please.
What? I've got the wisdom of Solomon. Dude had like 300 wives. Which doesn't sound very wise to me, but who am I to critique?
on the Stargirl TV show, when the Star Spangled Kid carries the new Stargirl to the Justice Society thing, you've got all the gimmicks or costumes or whatever, and the pen is sitting on this little stand. Well, she goes back and takes all that because her idea is she's going to start a new Justice Society. She's got the pen and she's sitting there clicking it, and nothing happens. And her mom's coming. She sticks it over in the cup holder on her desk, so that pen is just sitting there. I keep waiting for an episode where the brother.
Yeah, it's gonna be a brother. It's gonna be an asshole
and
brother.
he comes in because he's just like the one that Todd likes so much. He comes. He's gonna come in and get that pen and click it, and bam, and he's got power.
You can't use a thunderbolt unless you're the seventh son of a seventh son. Your show can't get anything right, Danny.
Well, excuse me.
You don't know how many bastards they had.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I had 6 more kids, but they all died in a school bus crash off of.
In Smallville, somebody wouldn't save him. I don't know what was going on.
What happened to that last kid? I ate him. What? I ate him. I had a kid look just like him because we need this kid to be the 7th son of a 7th son. Yeah, I keep waiting for little brother. I would prefer them do JJ. They can't do JJ on doing JJ on normal television be about like the way they did Negan.
Yeah, yeah. Negan was rough, but not as rough as.
Yep.
Well, you had to buy the DVDs. If you buy the DVDs with Negan, yeah, it's fucking. Yeah.
Yeah.
He recorded it. They just didn't show it on normal TV.
Yeah, more normal cable.
Yeah. But yep, that's my pick. Mr. Terrific.
Well, right before we wrap up, anybody got any honorable mentions? Like, for example, we mentioned
Wally West?
Kyle Rayner. He'd be my, he'd be another one of my favorites. I like the Wally West Flash. There's a few others.
I'm surprised nobody mentioned Wally. I'm surprised nobody mentioned Kyle. I'm surprised nobody.
Well, who would be your honorable mentions then?
Hell, you just said the hell. It would probably be Wally because I don't tend to like the knockoff. There are things that like Bucky Cap did that I thought were kind of funny, but I couldn't actually sit there and go, "Oh wow, I really like Bucky Cap." I spent all the Bucky Cap going, Steve coming back.
Yeah.
Basically the same way I did with Sam, and I've never liked the replacement Black Panther. I've never liked the replacement Hulk.
I guess my honorable mention would be when you had the death of Superman and you had all the others pop up. Well, I'm Superman. Would be Superboy. I just thought he was funny because he was trying to act like he was the man.
You should call me Superman. You're 10. Jazz
Yeah, you're a teenager. What do you? But he was trying to back on Lois Lane. He would do this. It's just like he would have these awkward teenage moments, and not, he wasn't getting embarrassed by it. It was like he was getting mad that nobody would take him serious.
I copyrighted the Superman name, so legally I'm actually Superman.
And logo.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was one of those knockoffs that cracked me up.
But yeah. I like I said, if I had to pick somebody, I'd go Wally.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap here then. So, if you like what you heard today, subscribe, tell people about us.
Like, share,
Guess we forgot to put
subscribe.
his phones up before we started.
Yeah, someone did.
Oh, well, at
Experience.
least it waited till the end.
Yeah.
The one time he gets a
Now I get telemarketer calls all the time, man.
just gonna let that rock, huh?
You cut off. I don't know what you said.
It'll be our exit music.
I said, oh, you just gonna let that rock. Yeah, the hell with throwing that in another room. We just gonna let that one ride.
We're about done. By the time I got up and got to it, it'd probably be finished anyway. So anyway, again, I've been your host for the day, the experienced some call Jason, and with me has been
CDO 113, the droid you're looking for, who remembered to silence all his phones.
And the Todd father who's sitting there going, damn, who wants to talk to you that bad?
telemarketers that are foolishly think annoying me will make me give them money. And anyway, we will see y'all next time.
Take it easy.
Peace.